bottom, 6 to go.
Makes a mistake again. He missed a shift. He's going to spin to the inside turn. He's going to take the lead.
Eli Hinton just got used up there in the hairpin.
He's going to pick up a win after a long winless streak and visit victory lane. And the whole field just needs to get himself slow down, hop these curves, up and over. There's that cannon running attack. Great restart here for the 2-car, but also for the 48. He crosses him over, down into turn 1, there goes the tail. Here comes the 20 alongside. The 13 car gets turned. He's going to spin in turn 2.
After another long and hard-fought season of racing in the 2019 Fuel HostVenom Cup Series, it's time to race the penultimate race of the season here at ISM Raceway in Avondale, Arizona. Welcome to SimTV, and we have one more week next week at Homestead Miami Speedway to settle out amongst 4 drivers. There are 5 still remaining in the Fuel Finals, and one of them is going home tonight. Finian, the big news right now that we're talking about up here in the booth is 8-time 2019 winner Scott Eckrich has been absent the last 2 weeks. He sits only 6 points above the cut line, and if he doesn't grid as soon as this race drops its green flag, he is eliminated from the Fuel Finals with 8 victories, which is one less than Greg Evans did last year in his dominant season, and that race will end tonight for him if he doesn't take the green flag.
Yeah, I know. Essentially, the playoff picture is going to be decided before we even take the green flag here, which is kind of unfortunate and a little lackluster, and especially considering the dominant season that he had. It wasn't just a good season, it was a fantastic season shaping for Eckrich, and all going to come to end here. He's got a few more minutes to get himself in this race, but he's going to be cutting it very close if he does so.
So qualifying underway right now for this penultimate race, and Finian, it's quite a long one, and I think it's 156 laps, something like that, and that's a pretty long, lengthy race, and the field size isn't large tonight, so we're expecting long green flag runs. You'll notice on the left-hand side in that scoring pylon, the drivers lit up in yellow. Those are your Fuel Finals contestants. You'll notice there's only 4, and if Scott Eckrich doesn't come here tonight, those will be your championship 4 heading into next week's final race of the season at Homestead Miami Speedway, where we'll settle it out. And Finian, last season we had a phenomenal last race at Las Vegas where we closed out the finale, and Greg Evans ended up taking home the trophy. But this season, it's been decidedly less competitive at the front of the field, with Scott Eckrich just kind of dominating week in and week out. But to not have him in that championship 4 severely changes how these drivers will approach next week.
Yeah, pretty much so. I would say if he was here, again, it's still, granted he shows up, but, with him in the picture, essentially he was the man to beat. But now it pretty much falls in almost any of these other drivers' hands that we're looking at. And the 4 drivers we are looking at besides Eckrich, pull it up here real quick.
Anthony DeBarro, Jeff Ward, Thomas George, and Thomas Bresci are the 4 that we're taking a look at. So I'll help you out there, but we'll take a look at the points picture, and it really, I mean, with Scott Eckrich gone, it really eliminates the stress on everyone else. But I'm looking at the 24 of Thomas Bresci Finian. He was just hanging out this season. No wins in these races so far this season, but 5 top 5s, 11 top 10s, decidedly one of the most consistent, more top 10s even, than Scott Eckrich, who has dominated. So Bresci currently leads the points by 9 over Thomas George, and what that means is that Bresci is sitting in a prime spot to win the championship next week, after having a season that one could say you wouldn't expect to win. It was a good season for sure, but certainly with Scott Eckrich and Anthony DeBarro and Jeff Ward running throughout, they just haven't been as consistent. So that 24 car is my championship pick for next week. You see Greg Evans, he won his first race of the season last week, but too little too late for the 46 machine. He was eliminated at Martinsville a week ago. He also made some enemies out there at the paperclip with quite a few drivers, including the 24 of Thomas Bresci. So I think you'll see maybe a bit of those rivalries carrying over to this racetrack. This racetrack double the length of Martinsville last week, but Finian, this is one of those weird tracks that doesn't really race like an intermediate, doesn't really race like a short track. It's kind of its own separate thing.
Yeah, it's kind of in a weird limbo in between, as you said, especially after they added some banking to the corners here. It kind of can go either way, especially depending on where it is in the run, whether it's earlier or later, because you're going to see guys sticking to the bottom all the way through the bottom part of the track.
10 seconds left in qualifying, and I don't think anyone else is going to get to put a time in, so it'll be Anthony DeBarro in the number 27. He's won 3 times this season, and he is going to be sitting on pole for the penultimate race as the checkered flag flies, and we'll set him up and grid him up to go racing for 156 laps around what used to be Phoenix Raceway, now ISM Raceway here at Avondale, Arizona. And Finian, not the reconfigured version, so the start-finish line still on the straightaway. But turns 3 and 4 wide and flat, and under the lights here, it's going to be a lot grippier. We take a look at our track conditions. 77 in the air, 77 on the track. It's going to be pretty grippy out there, and that also means very, very fast.
Yeah, indeed. And we're going to look at a starting lineup shortly. But one thing I was looking at the wins column for our potential 4 drivers going into the next week to compete to fight it out. And Bresci is going to be the only one of them to not have a win.
Yeah, that's an amazing stat, but you mentioned it earlier. It's like the tortoise versus the hare when it comes to these things. And Scott Eckrich doesn't look like he's going to make the grid, isn't going to show tonight, which is going to be a blow in the end of his championship hopes after dominating the season. We're not sure what happened to Scott Eckrich, but with him not here, that puts Thomas Bresci, currently leading the point standings, in the best spot to win this championship. However, Finian, do you think that not having a win is a detriment heading into Homestead? I feel like you're probably going to have to win that race to win the championship.
Oh, I definitely think you are, especially if the 4 drivers we've been talking about. You're going to hear us say that a lot tonight in general, but yeah, these guys have been almost always at the front of the pack, and no matter what race, maybe minus a week here and there, but these guys have been up and in the front all season. If they've not been winning due to Scott Eckrich taking the checkered flag first, they've definitely been up there in the fight. So it's really going to be an all-out brawl. I'm still not entirely sold on one driver in particular out of those guys. It's really going to come down to the race and seeing actually how they performed. I could really kind of make a decision.
Let's take a look at our starting lineup for tonight. On the front row, Anthony DeBarro in his number 27 Toyota Camry, alongside Jeff Ward, a multi-time winner this season, that number 89 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. Ward's been awful good lately. Timothy Johnson starts from row number 2 in 3rd place in that number 28 Toyota Camry, alongside Thomas George in his number 9. He's won this season as well, only a few weeks ago. Mitch Welker making a return, possibly for the final time in quite some time here in the stock cars, in 5th. In his Ford Mustang, and Thomas Bresci, our points leader, starting in 6th. We're going to let the rest of that scroll along the bottom of your screen as the pace car rolls off here. Putting in predictions for tonight, who you're looking at to be the best?
I think I'm still, honestly, and this would be probably my pick of the final 4, would be the 89 and Jeff Ward, looking very fast in these recent weeks. I think he's going to be just a little bit better than our pole sitter, Anthony DeBarro, but again, we're going to have to see once these guys get settled out.
Greg Evans, who won last week, he starts from 11th, his number 46 Chevrolet Camaro. Tyler Hensley was in the running quite a bit. He starts 12th. We'll see if he has any say in how this one goes tonight. 156 laps in the penultimate race of the 2019 A season. Sponsored by HostVenom. Of course, all the links to our sponsors and other information can be found in the video description. Thank you for joining us for the SimTV's coverage of the second to last race of the season. From the starter cam, here we go. Green flag is going to fly racing at ISM Raceway.
And DeBarro out to a very strong lead. And actually there you see the 28, Timothy Johnson up the inside of Ward, trying to take away 2nd place.
Johnson in that 28 looking really strong. Was a little bit disgruntled after his elimination from the Fuel Finals all the way back at Rockingham, I believe that was, and kind of got wrecked out of that one and probably was championship worthy. Has since shown a lot of speed in the late going, but then the 46 of Greg Evans, he started 11th. He's up to 8th already. A very strong start for him, but DeBarro leads lap 1 with Jeff Ward right hot on his tail.
Yeah, I was going to say Jeff Ward made up all the ground he lost entering 1 and 2, and here he comes down trying to look, almost peels off to the inside of DeBarro. He's going to wait on it, though.
Yeah, I looked maybe to the high side here in turn 3. There's several different lines you can run all over this racetrack, and I'm going to be curious to see where the quick ones show up. You see another car way up the racetrack. That's Mitch Welker in the 76 out of turn 4. Gets to the outside of Bresci in his brand new number 76 Mustang. 24 comes over and takes that spot back, but for the lead, you mentioned Jeff Ward off to a good start, but it looks like DeBarro is going to hang on to it for another lap at least here. Brian Greene in the 06, and I think that's Tyler Dolger on the Coca-Cola 88 on his outside off into turn 3. These guys are battling for 9th.
Yeah, Brian Greene, the only other Mustang in the field. Tyler Dolger going to loop it around the outside, though. He's going to work his way around Greene.
Bresci and that's Thomas George now. He's working underneath for the 4th spot. I'm curious to see. Bresci's going to dive underneath the apron there about 200 feet wide. That's all fair game for these drivers to cut and use that to their advantage. And Bressi does that, and he also gets the inside of Johnson out of turn 4. Not going to have a good enough run to clear him, but he will clear the number 9 of George.
Yeah, with this new package, too, being down on the apron, it's worth a lot more time than it used to be, so definitely very valuable to get down there.
Greg Evans clears the 76 for 6th place, so then he'll head back up towards the front. It's still DeBarro, Ward, Johnson, now Bressi all over the back of that number 28 Toyota.
Bressi definitely on the move forward, started in 6th, already up to 4th, potentially 3rd if he can find a way around Johnson in the 28.
Trying out the new motion blur setting here in iRacing this week, and man, does that look good, Finian. It's a great looking effect. Pretty cool that they added that, but meanwhile, Dulger and Brian Greene, they've been side by side for several laps, and here comes Norm Pelletier to crash the party from 11th.
Oh, he's going to chuck it up the inside of Dulger, and I think these guys' teammates are going to play it out a little bit clean here.
Oh, Mitch Welker hard in the fence out of turn 4. Pounded the wall. And actually, that's Dulger in the 88. He might have done the same.
Yeah, I was looking at him. He did exactly the same thing, too. We're starting to see guys struggle. Whoa!
John Rodden
Hensley
spins.
gets in the back. Yeah.
He'll get it righted back in the right direction, but gets spun down to the inside as we got a battle for the lead as the 27 to DeBarro under attack from Jeff Ward. It's getting frantic up front here. And here comes Johnson behind as well, but Jeff Ward goes to the lead, lap number 8.
Yeah, I was saying keeping an eye on that 89 car, definitely looking strong here, but DeBarro is not done yet. He's immediately behind the 89. I'm going to see how he counterattacks.
He's going to dive to the inside underneath the apron on the back straightaway, maybe take a launch off into turn 3. And trying to pull alongside, but that 89 looks really strong. Was quickest in practice and has run their best lap time's about equivalent right now.
Louis Johnson got a really good run off of 4 here. He's caught up all the way to the back moment. The 27 backs off, though, not to hit him.
Bressi's looking hungry. He clips the apron right behind the 28, but right behind Bressi is Thomas George. Now, George was one recently. He's been awful quick. He's kind of showed up to the party, so to speak, late in the season, and unfortunately, he's going to be one of those drivers that will go in for the championship next week, but I don't think he has quite the momentum that the 24 has, at least. So we'll see how these two compete next week at Homestead.
Yeah, and also right behind Thomas George, Greg Evans has joined the party as well. He's started in 11th. He's all the way up to 6th and climbing forward.
Off of turn 2 has a great run to the back of the 9, but not going to push the teammate at this time. He'll just hang in line here. So thinking back to that incident down in turn number 1, it was the 33 of John Rodden that got turned. I think it was
Hensley.
It was Hensley that got into him there. So those two drivers are probably a little bit upset with each other, but that was just kind of a chaotic situation. Some bumping and banging out of turn 4. They get down to turn 1. They were 3 wide for a moment and just ran out of room. Oh, Bressi under attack. Thomas George and Greg Evans, the teammates going at it right behind him. Front 3 have kind of broken away right now. Ward, DeBarro, and Johnson. And then it's another 3, Bressi, George, and Evans. 4, 5, 6 rather. And then it's Justin Rodden hanging out in 7th all by himself, and I Can't Design number 01. And it's been a while since we've seen him have such a good start to the race. We'll see if he can hang on and finish it here.
Yeah, definitely is keeping in touch with the leaders. In fact, if they start to battle out, he might be able to close in, get a few more spots. He's definitely broken away from the guy behind him, Brian Greene, in the 06.
And speaking of Brian Greene, he's got Norm Pelletier all over his rear bumper. These guys battling for 8th place right now. Mitch Welker, he got into the fence early. Doesn't seem like there's a ton of damage to that right side, at least not as much as Dulger has on his machine, but might be struggling now. And you see, whoa, that's Brian Greene way up the racetrack in turns 3 and 4. And Pelletier will take that spot away and clear it as Greene now tries to hold off the charging 76 of Welker.
Yeah, Welker is going to throw it up the inside of Greene. Greene's going to give him some room there.
Kind of a spat back here for what will eventually be 8th place. As our leaders are still only separated by 2/10. Oh, the 76 and 06 side by side through 3 and 4. Almost got wheel to wheel there for a moment. And out of turn 4, still struggling to see who's got the upper hand here. And Welker will have to tuck back into 06. No, he's going to dive back to the inside, but doesn't have a good enough run to get alongside.
Yeah, and Greene with some damage to the rear end of his car already. Minor stuff, but definitely tell it's a little bit crinkled. Someone's got into the back of him.
And Welker throttles up mid-corner to try to pull alongside the 06. And Can't do it. Now he's at risk of getting passed from the 44 of Tyler Hensley. These guys battling really hard for what will just eventually be a top 10 spot. Here goes Hensley back to the outside out of turn 2. A great run here. Will Welker cut the track? Yes, he will, but Hensley does too.
Yeah, Hensley going to get a good run here. He's going to send it in 3, trying to clear the 76, and he does exactly that.
For the top spot, only separated by 0.2 of a second still. That's DeBarro sitting in second. He was our pole sitter on the night. Jeff Ford was quickest in practice, leads this race. He's been out front for about 10 laps now. The 27 wants back.
And DeBarro's really looking like he wants to make a pass, and there he is, going to chuck it up the inside in 3 and 4, side by side for the leaders here. I think Ward's going to have the advantage on the outside. DeBarro's still fighting strong.
A good run out of turn 4 for the 27, but not going to quite be able to stay alongside. He'll take another look down into turn 1. He'll get the quarter panel there, and he might have another run at this. These guys trading places a couple times in the opening laps here. Wow, real way far down to the inside lane. DeBarro almost to the wall, and he has the lead at the moment. He's going to slide up, and he'll take that lead away. What a move. We have to go back and look at that from the sky to get a decent look at how that one happened, because that was quite the pass there.
Yeah, I've never seen someone go that low to try to make a pass, but I mean, if it works, a hell of a move.
And here's another look all the way to the wall, and slid right back up and dove off into turn 3, made it stick. We'll head back, Brian Greene, Mitchell Welker. These guys have been just attached at the hip so far tonight.
Yeah, these guys have not been able to get separated at all. It's been kind of following each other, but Hensley is cutting through some of the back guys in the back of the field and working his way up.
Big group of 4 cars right here, led by the 44 of Hensley, as you mentioned. And then there's Pelletier just right behind him. And then it's Welker and Greene fighting for 10th behind that. So leader still separated by about 0.2 of a second. 20 laps in here, Finian. Green flag stops. This is probably one of the easiest pit roads to get into. It's probably also one of the easiest pit roads to speed on with that corner at the exit of pit lane. You want to cut that radius, but you can get yourself caught speeding pretty easily down there.
Yeah, you definitely want to be very careful getting down there, and especially getting off too. You want to make sure it's very tempting to get back onto the track, but you have to remember that blue cone's there. Got to stay to the left of that.
Absolutely, and Welker and Greene continue to fight. And Sparks laying down from underneath the 06 as he transitioned over the banking. But up front, Barrow has stretched out a lead to 0.6 of a second. Greene goes to the outside of Pelletier on corner exit, and they're going to try to take him 3 wide down the front straight, but Welker's going to back off, and he'll drive right back up to the high lane behind the 56 for now. All right, let's jump back up to position number 4. It's Thomas Bressie, Thomas George right behind him. That rounds out your top 5. Then it's Greg Evans. That's 4, 5, and 6. John Rodden still 7th, but up front, 27 has found another gear. He's starting to drive away, Finian, 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, and I think I'm kind of curious if Warren might have just used up his stuff here, and we'll see if Johnson's able to get around the 89 as well. So I think we might see Ward start to drop back just a little bit.
Look who's fighting again. It's Welker and Greene, and we can throw Pelletier right back in that mix. We're going to keep the cameras on these guys for a while until they settle it out, but they haven't in the first 23 laps. They continue to fight, but Welker now has 9th spot, and Greene has 10th, so they've both gotten around Pelletier now. Lap number 24. We talked about green flag pit stops. We're not really even quite halfway through a run, but I think tires are going to be important tonight, but probably not as important as you'd expect. Because it's night conditions, Finian, we're only about a second off of our initial pace after being out here for 24 laps, so really we're only expecting a fall off from 2 to 2.5 seconds, which is decidedly less than a lot of tracks we've been to lately.
Yeah, definitely so. I think that's probably due to the new surface, not really abrasive in any at all. So a lot less abrasive to the tires, so you got to run them for a lot longer run decent lap times for a lot longer.
Pelletier drives all the way to the bottom on the back straight, try to get alongside Brian Greene in the 06. Off into turn 3 now, just a bad line to enter though, and Greene is going to throttle up around the outside. And Pelletier now has Derek Paulsen in the 05. He was around quite a bit in the beginning of the season. His attendance dropped off, but he's back here for the penultimate race.
Yeah, he's got up to these guys in quite a hurry here. I think he might be able to make some quick work of them. He's been running some better lap times by about 0.2 a lap, and there's him go to the inside of Pelletier. And he's going to get by him.
He clears him. Good pass there for the 05. Back to second place. Jeff Ward has fallen off the pace from DeBarro, now has a rear bumper full of Timothy Johnson. Then it's 2.5 back to Thomas Bressi. So the field getting really spread out here, Finian. Looking going to be like it's going to be a long green flag run race, which means that we might see a bunch of strategy in here as well.
Yeah, especially for our top 6, I think strategy is definitely going to come into play, as these guys are all fairly strong on pace, but no one really able to one-up each other just yet.
Don Runkle Jr., the first driver that looks like he might go a lap down, got huge right side damage. He must have bounced off the wall hard earlier tonight. He's going to pull off to the inside, probably let the leaders drive on through. Of course, Runkle, with that Mission 22 car, immensely popular after winning at Fontana way back in the beginning of the season. On a strategy call, ended up remaining in the Fuel Finals a lot longer than everyone thought. Unfortunately, was eliminated out at Talladega a couple weeks ago, but still a great run for him, and we expect great things next season from him in that Mission 22 car. So he's going to head down pit road. Not a great night for him so far tonight in the first car, 1 lap down, and perhaps the first DNF. We'll see where he ends up. Brian Greene gone on pit lane here, Finian. Some right side damage on that car as well.
Yeah, he hit the wall last time through coming off of turn 4, hit it pretty hard, so I think he's come down to give it some service, get some better tires on that car, and get back out there.
I think we're going to see a lot of those, single cars hitting the wall sorts of situations and not so much multi-car accidents. Here is a look off the rear bumper of the 24 of Thomas Bressi, and here comes Greg Evans in that Gander Outdoors number 46. A good-looking scheme on board that car this week. I see some right side damage on the 46, though, so he's been in the wall too, but he goes to the inside of the 24 Bressi and looking for 4th place.
Yeah, Bressi going to gas it up on the outside and easily get around the 46 thing. The tires have reached that point where that outside lane better than the inside.
But Bressi running a higher line through turns 1 and 2, and we can't forget last week these two had several run-ins, and one of them, including the 24, pretty much trying to Matt Kenseth them down in turn number 1, and he was ultimately unsuccessful in that. Now, I imagine some of that's blown over for at least Greg Evans, but for Thomas Bressi, I think that lingers in the back of his mind here.
Yeah, well, I think, especially for Bressi, too, I think he's got a lot more to lose. He can't afford to really get hung up on that, make a mistake as far as being involved with the 46. They easily give him a penalty that he does not need going into next week.
32 laps complete of 156. The race is ticking off quite quickly. If you just joined us, there's about 54 minutes of racing remaining if we continue at this pace. And after last week's race at Martinsville, Finian, this is decidedly longer green flag runs and just better racing all around. As we kind of get into these longer runs here, people can try out different lines, and the track still isn't really rubbered in yet. Again, not very hot and slick, so lots of grip, lots of different lane choices right now at least. And Greg Evans is going to try to get past the 24 again, sails down into turn 3 alongside, and the 24 is going to throttle right back up. He should be able to hang on to this.
He should be, but I didn't think he would get as strong as run. I was going to say, I think the 46 might have been able to hang in there, but yeah, ended up falling in behind the 24. He's going to have another look here, though, on the back straightaway.
And I imagine we'll see a big course cut here. He's going to drive all the way down, but Bressi follows him down there. 46 gets a nose ahead, heading off into turn 3. Who's going to be later on the brakes? The 46 sails it in deep. He clears the 24. Is Bressi going to try to line him up for a crossover? Here he comes.
I don't think he can. Yeah, he's going to try to do it, but he can't. He's got a run here. They seem looking into turn 1.
Sends it down to the inside. Evans gives him the room, but Bressi really struggling with understeer right now. That car not handling very well for his liking. And now he's going to try to cut and get the spot back, but looks like Evans is going to do even more. And Evans takes 4th place away. Bressi will have to settle for 5th for now.
And also update to Brian Greene and Don Runkle. Both those drivers have called it a day. They're going to retire in 16th and 17th respectively.
A frustrating day for Brian Greene. Had some good runs early alongside Mitch Welker, but that right side damage too much for that suspension. We'll call it a night. Of course, Don Runkle, same scenario for him. Meanwhile, out up front, nothing's changed. DeBarro leads this race by 1.8 seconds. Timothy Johnston is about a half second back from 2nd place Jeff Ward. Now we're watching the battle for 4th place. It's Greg Evans and Thomas Bressi, but we have some new players showing up to the mix here. Finney and Thomas George has begun to reel this group in, as well as Justin Rodden in that 0-1.
Yeah, Justin Rodden's got some good pace at the moment. He's probably the fastest out of the 3 guys ahead of him, so he might be able to make some work out of here and throw his wrench into things. I think he's definitely saved up his tires.
Yeah, he was the 3rd fastest car on track last time through, so that number 0-1 going forward. He's caught Thomas George now. What does he do with them here? Running a much higher lane than Thomas George. You see Bressi has also kind of gone up there as well to try to find some pace. Although Rodden's been stuck in exactly 7th place since the green flag dropped, so he's really hungry to get some passes done.
Oh yeah, and I think he's definitely got some lining up ahead of him. I think Bressy's really, as you said, was struggling with tires, and I think Thomas George too is kind of in the same boat.
And he's driving into the corners very easy, and he might be saving his tires and brakes, but Thomas George all over the back of Bressy now. Working lap number 39 of 156. So far, Finian, it seems like DeBarro has had the car to beat, but maybe on a short run, Jeff Ward's the one to watch. But I just have to wonder, do you think we might get any short runs at all, or are we looking at the 27 and see he might just drive away with this thing?
Well, I think I think honestly this is looking more and more like a long run each lap that goes by. So I think DeBarro, if anything, looks like he might be the strongest one of all. I think Ward burned up the tires too early in the run, can't really do anything at this point in time.
Yeah, and speaking of that, Timothy Johnson's begun to reel in the 89 and Jeff Ward. So Johnson has some right side damage. He's been into the wall. We got Tyler Dulger down on pit lane. Oh, big right side damage on that car. I'm not sure if that's recent or not, but he's been he hit the wall pretty hard a couple laps in. And he'll try to get back rolling here on lap number 41. So DeBarro continues to lead, 1.8 seconds. Actually make that 2.1 as Jeff Ward has gone up the racetrack searching for grip. I've seen that a lot. Drivers that are struggling with the grip, they head up the racetrack to find some pace. And Thomas George now to the inside of Bressy in turn 4.
Yeah, Bressy trying to roll that outside lane. That's all he can really pretty much do is just use the outside lane to defend. And George's got it touching for now. Ooh, late dive from the 9 though to the inside.
George makes a good run. He's side by side with the 24. Doesn't quite have the pace to make that run off, though, so Bressy will hang on for now. We head back up to the battle for second, though. Johnson has caught Jeff Ward, and he was alongside him for a moment, but had to back down and try again. And I think Justin Rodden's just sitting here waiting. He's been so patient with this run. He's been easy on his tires and his brakes. I can see him being quick. If this race goes green all the way to the end, that 0-1 may be a force to reckon with. But these two in front of him are just absolutely dogfighting on the back straight.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious if the 0-1's got something to play up his sleeve as far as pit strategy, because that could easily help him overtake the two guys ahead of him, maybe even 3.
Blue the 9, throttled up mid-corner and cleared Thomas Bressy. Takes away the 5th spot. Bressy tried to throttle up to get back to the inside, but couldn't get the run. And so move the 9 back up into 5th, and Bressy back to 6th after starting in 6th. So our 6th and 7th place cars are exactly where they were. George has dropped 1 spot. Greg Evans is up 7. So that 46 car has also got quite a bit of pace and is one of the quickest cars on the racetrack right now, but DeBarro is still the fastest at the moment. He has stretched that lead out to 2.4 seconds.
I think, yeah, and Ward's starting to fall more and more off the pace. I mean, really, for him to have a chance, he's got to stay within a good amount of time of DeBarro. He can't really afford to lose a lot of time, because then he can't make it up on pit road.
There's Jared Dixon about to go a lap down in that number 60 machine. And John Wilco is just a couple seconds up the road, and these guys are fighting. That's Norm Pelletier and John Wilco fighting for 12th spot, and they're going to be fighting pretty hard because that leader is coming, and you don't want to get yourself a lap down. In case a caution does come out, you want to keep yourself in contention in this race.
It's actually that pack of 3 altogether, including also John Rodden shortly up ahead of Wilco. So DeBarro catching some lap traffic, quite a bit of lap traffic.
You good on Wilco, or Rodden, for getting that car back rolling after his spin. He's caught back up to at least a group of cars that he was near earlier. So he could have had that night end pretty easily if he had overcorrected, but he took his time, saved the car. He's still running, albeit in danger of going a lap down here shortly. Almost a third of the way through this race here. We're working lap number 47. Green flag pit stop's kind of looming in the near future as we see Bressy now struggling to hold off Justin Rodden. And Bressy really seems like he's struggling right now in the longer runs, Finian.
Yeah, he's definitely in danger from Justin Rodden behind. I think Rodden's got some definitely better tires to deal with here than Bressy. And yeah, I think we've seen this quite a few times in 24. Definitely he's been better on the short runs, and we've had quite a few short runs over the course of the season, but in this long run, he's really struggling.
See Justin Rodden right behind him. A slight crinkle on that right side fender from a wall contact earlier, but now he dives to the inside on the back straight to the 24, and he'll have an overlap off into turn 3, but Bressy's rolling that outside lane. So much easier to carry momentum up there. It's such a flat corner. The wider radius is the place to be, and for now, he's going to hang on to 6th spot.
And actually, too, even behind these guys, you don't have to look too far. You'll find Hensley and Welker actually running 2 tenths faster than the guys up ahead of them.
And they're battling, so they're going to close that gap even more. We'll keep an eye on that fight here. So pit stop or pit road is a place now where Norman Pelletier can be found. He's on pit road in the 14th spot. Tyler Dulger is on pit lane 11 laps down, potentially another retirement there after his wall contact. So Pelletier comes in for a stop here early. It looks like Jared Dixon has already gone a lap down. Now Bressie and Rodden continue to fight for 6th place. Thinking about pit stops now, Finian. When do you make your stop if you're Jeff Ward? Do you try to outlast Nabarro and carry the tires later, or do you come early and try to undercut?
I think you definitely want to try to undercut, get the gut out of the tires, especially since he's good on the short runs. Try to reel in that gap to him on the track and at least get in front of him, because that way he'll have a fighting chance.
So my question is, when you're thinking about doing the undercut versus overcut strategies, if the tires degrade a lot, which way is the better way to go? I feel like maybe the overcut will work better if there's a lot of tire wear, and the undercut will work better if there's not a lot of tire wear. You see the 24 come to pit road.
Yeah, I think it also kind of depends too on how you are running at the moment as well. If you're running at a decent pace on the older tires compared to your competitors, or if you're running worse. If you're running worse on your pace compared to your competitors, you definitely want to come in for an undercut, get on the good tires, and try to make up time that way. If you're running better than your competitors on the older tires, you want to stay out, so that way when you get on newer tires, you can maximize the time you lose.
Okay, so we have 2 drivers on pit road right now from our league battle. It was Timothy Johnson and Thomas Bressie. Then it seems like Tyler Hensley's just pulled off. He comes on down pit road a couple laps after his teammate. No other takers at the moment. And I'm curious to see where DeBarro and Ward go. DeBarro's actually being held up a little bit by lap traffic, so I'm surprised he hasn't already made the trip to pit road. But he might just try to outlast everyone and just go as far as his fuel tank will let him.
Yeah, again, that's also another factor too, is really getting in traffic and around where you'll be getting out of traffic. But yeah, you see DeBarro navigating some relatively light traffic as he dives all the way to the wall.
Bunch more leaders on pit road. Jeff Ward has come down, Greg Evans, Thomas George, Mitch Welker. And
Timothy Johnson came in really fast on the pit road.
Timothy Johnson's already been on pit road, Finian, so he must have gotten a penalty of some sort.
Oh.
This is his 2nd trip down, and not sure why, but he was sitting in 3rd, and this is going to be a big hit to his race, and he's coming back into pit lane. Is it for a stop and go? What's the situation here?
Well, he definitely sped, so he's going to have to probably come down again.
Well, he's taking tires again, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah,
or did he come already? Maybe I got confused. I could have sworn... Oh, no, he's gone. Well, I guess that answers that question. Had to go somewhere, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking through, find out what the story is here.
Derek Paulsen on pit lane in the 05. Looks like everyone else, other than leader Nabarro, is on pit road, or not on pit road. So Nabarro comes on down from the lead, lap number 56. Justin Rodden remains on the racetrack.
Yeah, so I think Johnson did come down a second time, had a penalty, and then when the second time he came down, he got another speeding penalty on entry. And I think just with frustration, I think just call it a night.
That's frustrating for sure, and it's just really not been his... He hasn't had luck in either season so far that we've broadcasted for the Fuel Cups here. Have we done 3 or 2? I feel like we've done 3, right? Or 2?
We've done 3.
3? Who won the first championship?
Evans. No, sorry, only 1.
No, 2. Well, this is 2. Yeah. Okay, I was trying to remember. But last season he had some terrible luck as well. So Nabarro is back out on the racetrack. Jeff Ward has actually gotten the lead away under that sequence. Fans, the undercut has worked. And so now Jeff Ward is your leader. The question is, how long is it going to last? Because last time through, Jeff Ward ran a 25-1. And we'll see. It actually was his best lap time. So where does Nabarro stack up here as they come back to the start-finish line? Lap number 58. Looks like Jeff Ward runs a 25-2 and a 25-2 as well for Nabarro, but just a touch quicker. Ooh, that was the... What car was that just smacked the wall? That was the Jared Dixon machine. He went way up the racetrack. And here's a look at it. He actually smacked the wall down in turn 1. He just gets late turning off into the corner, carries a lot more speed than he can, and gets up into the safer barrier. So he continues on.
Yeah, going back to the Jeff Ward-Nabarro fight, yeah, right now Jeff Ward has 2 things he needs to do on this run in particular right now. He's got to make sure he stays ahead of DeBarro. And the second thing, which is kind of conflicting with the first, is that he has to make sure he doesn't wear out his tires as much as he did in the first run.
Yeah, I think being conservative on those tires is certainly going to be important. The lights have come on here. They've been on for a little while, but the track beginning to cool down now. So now that might change the handling on some of these cars. See, I think that's Rodden and Wilco both on pit lane. So for the lead, we still have about a 0.7 of a second gap between Ward and DeBarro. Remember, Ward did lead the first couple laps of this race. He passes Norm Pelletier now to put him down another lap to him. But Justin Rodden remains on the racetrack, maybe hoping for a caution, but I don't think that's going to happen. He's going to have to come to pit road relatively soon here.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of surprised he's going to do that. If I was him, I would definitely come in because it doesn't look like we're going to have a caution.
Probably not. I mean, Larry Max Trends would probably say that there might be a caution, but with the way this is going, I don't foresee that being an issue. Hensley and George trading spots right now for what is currently 7th on the racetrack, but will eventually be for 6th, and George gets it away. And Justin Rodden continues to lead this race, so just hoping and praying that someone makes a mistake. But heading back to what will eventually turn over to be our lead, Ward and DeBarro still separated by 0.7 of a second. It seems like Ward definitely okay in the first part of the run. I just worry about the second part of the run if he's got enough pace to hang in front of that 27 machine.
Yeah, I think honestly really what he should do is just kind of trying to maintain a gap with DeBarro, not necessarily try to break away, but only go as fast as you need to, because then that means that he's going to be saving his tires.
A couple laps after a pit stop, I think it's a decent time for a SimTV sound surge. DeBarro reeling in that number 89 of Jeff Ward. He's only 0.2 of a second back out of turn 4. Finney, and I think that 89 has some early run pace. I just don't think he has the long run speed to compete with that 27.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if really tonight's going to be the exception. Usually Phoenix races typically have a lot of cautions and a lot of short runs, which would have favored the 89 in this case, but tonight with the long run, still yet to have a caution tonight at all. Not going in his favor, definitely going in the 27's favor, who's all over the back bumper of that 89 car.
So Justin Rodden finally comes to pit road. I'll imagine that he went to the end of his tank, which will put us at about 68 laps you can do on fuel. So, Finian, now, if you are Jeff Ward or Anthony DeBarro, you're probably thinking about when's the earliest you can make that stop, at least if you're the 89, to get that undercut again. So you could probably go to the end on one more stop. Just, you might want to make it, round lap 90 or 95, just to kind of get that undercut and get it down there as early as you can. But DeBarro all over the back of the 89 now for that top spot, lap number 70. Here they go.
Yeah, there goes DeBarro all the way to the inside. Not as close as you've seen him the first time around. It looks like Ward's going to just maintain ahead.
Ward up the racetrack a little bit, trying to find pace, but we've seen the strong cars be down on the bottom on corner exit. DeBarro kind of dogging the rear bumper, planning out a move. He dives deep down into turn 1. He's really strong in the braking zone down into turn 1. That is where Ward's weakness is. And I was going to chase him down the back straight, maybe draft up a little bit, then take a look into turn 3. But that's where I feel like Ward is better.
Yeah, DeBarros are running just a lane higher than Ward, and you see.
Crash in front of him! Jared Dixon hard in the fence, right in front of the leaders, and caution is out lap number 72, and that was a scary moment for Jeff Ward.
Yeah, indeed, but he is going to maintain the lead there as the leaders are side by side.
The first caution of the night waves here on lap number 72 for the number 60 of Jared Dixon going for a spin. And that was a very eventful moment for Jared Dixon in that number 60 car.
Yeah, and also weird way the wreck started. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a weird one. Yeah, you're right about that, Finian. I don't know what to tell you. He just kind of ran into the wall. I mean, I don't know how else to call that, but...
Yeah, well, what I was thinking when I was looking back, I'm like, all right, he just got in the wall, spent the straightaway trying to save it. Couldn't save it, textbook kind of thing at Phoenix. But yeah, he just kind of lazily drifted into the wall there and crashed, so...
Jeff Ward had a great view of this as the 60 came sliding back across the racetrack. Got on the brakes, and DeBarro stayed in the throttle. And Jeff Ward actually was scored as the leader, but everyone comes down pit lane here, Finian. You like that call, or are you not?
Honestly, I like that call. I think definitely it wouldn't hurt to take the tires, especially there. I think there are quite a few cars a lap down. There's only 10 cars on the lead lap, so I'd honestly say, why not? It's only going to give you an advantage.
So our first caution at roughly the halfway point of this race. I think lap number 78 will be our halfway or something around there. But Jeff Ward comes in pit lane from the lead, and I'm curious to see how this pans out here. Who wins the race off pit road? Does anyone try a 2-tire strategy? I think that's what the 46 tried. Nope, he took 4 tires as well. Just got a really good stop. Actually, the stop wasn't even that great. It was a 14.6. But his time on pit road was a lot better. So Greg Evans made it a very efficient pit stop sequence. He's going to steal away 3rd place because Norm Pelletier has stayed on the racetrack. We expect him to come down to pit road here, and here he comes.
Yeah, and Evans will try to cut that turn on pit road as much as possible, and that's where he gained quite a lot of time.
So that will move Greg Evans back up to 2nd. Thomas Bresci had a really good stop and moves himself back up into 3rd, and we'll see if he has anything to say about the lead. But how about the 27 of DeBarro? He has fallen to 8th under that sequence with a 35-second stop, presumably for a penalty. So, unfortunately for DeBarro, things were going smoothly up until recently. Now, he does seem like he's the strongest. I'm curious to see how quickly he can work his way through the field. We've seen Greg Evans pass 7 cars in really the first 20 laps or so we know passing is possible and not too hard to do. I don't think Phoenix is lacking asphalt in that regard, but, I mean, you've kind of thrown away what was a top 3 run, and now you have to climb through the field again, putting yourself at risk. It's pretty easy to get yourself in trouble in this kind of scenario, so DeBarro has to be careful. Now, all these drivers are safely in to next week's finale from Homestead Miami Speedway, so all 4 drivers that are lit up in yellow will be your Fuel Finals final 4 as we head into that last race of the season next week. So it'll be Ward, Bresci, George, and DeBarro going for the championship, and right now, this is a great way to assert your dominance by winning this race tonight.
Ooh, I'm also looking at the amount of laps we have left to go, and I'm trying to also find out how long Justin Rodden went on his tank.
Rodden went 68 laps on his fuel tank, and we, at present, I think we have, 80 laps to go, so you can't go from here, but you can probably make a quick stop for fuel in about 10 to 15 laps and make it. I don't know if we'll see that. I think these guys might just split this one right down the middle, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, really, there's no point to not try something like that. I mean, if you're in the Fuel Finals for next week, you might as well just try something crazy.
That was there's no points to anything. Everything gets reset, so might as well try something for a win.
All right, pace car rolls off, lap number 77, our first restart of the night. Green flag back in the air, and Jeff Ward gets a phenomenal restart and just absolutely blows Greg Evans' doors off heading down into turn 1. Bressy's there to take second place away as well.
Ooh, and Bressy forces the 46 out of line. He's also going to take a massive cut out of the dog leg. He's going to clear the 46.
Those two had history, but they've been racing each other nice and clean all night. Derek Paulsen really wide in turn 3, goes up the top of the racetrack, and Anthony DeBarro gets 6th place away, but still has another group of cars to go through before he can get back up front and start chasing Jeff Ward back down as he goes to the inside of Mitch Welker in turn 2. Ooh.
Yeah, Welker also has shown some pretty solid pace too, so you might see him throw a wrench into things.
I'm just curious to see how this track position shakeup is going to affect things. So DeBarro easily gets back for 5th. So he's climbing through the field relatively quickly, but Jeff Ward already pulling a gap on Bressy, Evans, and George. And DeBarro is coming and coming fast.
Yeah, again, I think my question is, same as yours probably, is how quickly he's going to dispose of the 9, the 46, and the 24.
Lap number 80. Starting to think about the end of this race, Finian. We're about 32 minutes from the end of the penultimate race of the season and setting yourself up for a championship next week. Scott Eckrich has placed himself out of it, leaving it to one of these guys. And the most winningest driver we have amongst this group is DeBarro, with 3 wins on the season. And most recent only coming a few weeks ago, so he is on a roll lately. But does he have the consistency that Thomas Bressy does?
Honestly, I don't think so. But again, especially with this format, all it really comes down to is your pace in one race alone. So I think that's where DeBarro has the upper hand here.
DeBarro heads up the racetrack and it's going to apex turn 4 late and try to get a run on the 9 of Thomas George, who is right in line with his teammate Greg Evans. But here comes DeBarro down to the inside in turn 1, and he's going to make this pass look relatively easy. And he cleared the 9 for a second, but Thomas George says nope, and now the 27 is going to drop to the apron and easily clear the rest of the 9 car.
Yep, so DeBarro up now in 4th place, going to set his sight on Greg Evans, and also that should help Greg Evans reset him up further in the field. So, and this 46 car has almost always been fast in recent weeks.
Yeah, you know, this is too little too late for the 46 to save his championship hopes, but he has really run a lot better. He made a statement last week at Martinsville that he wasn't going to take anything anymore, and he just went out there and took it and got himself a checkered flag and a victory. Now, if he had done that a couple times earlier in the season, we would probably be talking about him being one of the championship favorites, but he has turned up the wick in the later parts of the season. But again, all he's going for now is victory, so that's going to change how he races, and I don't think he's going to care about Thomas Bressy's or Jeff Ward's or DeBarro's or George's feelings at the end of the night.
I would say he also, I guess, rusts easier knowing the fact that he's not really affecting the championship for this race, at least, as it has already pretty much been decided for these 4 guys, so he can pretty much go at it and not entirely feel guilty about it.
DeBarro setting up turn 4 to get bigger and better runs. Currently, one of the quickest cars on the racetrack. That time through Jeff Ward was by a tick, and now he's up the road by 1.3 seconds over Thomas Bressy, but that 27 car still turning some really solid laps and closing in on Greg Evans' rear bumper.
I'm curious how much of a fight that 46 is going to put up with the 27. We're just talking about how he's not going to take anything anymore. What's he going to do with DeBarro?
Down to the inside of the 46. He's going to launch it down in there. It looks like Greg Evans will pretty easily give him that spot away. Oh, he's going to fight back on the outside here for a moment, but I think that's all she wrote as DeBarro clears Evans for 3rd. Now sets his sights on 2nd place Thomas Bressy, but all the while Jeff Ward has extended that lead out to 1.5 seconds or about 25 car lengths.
Yeah, he really has expanded that lead. Definitely took advantage of the mistake that 27 made. But again, I got to worry just a little bit. How is his long run pace going to be?
And we might get a long run to the end of this race. We have a bunch of DNFs. John Rodden, Timothy Johnson, Dulger, Greene, and Runkle. That's 5 cars of a 17-car field. We are down to 12 running and 11 on the lead lap. That means that even if you make a mistake or you make a misstep, you're not going to fall down that far. But if you're Bressy or Jeff Ward, you want to make these tires last as long as you can to be in the hunt later, but I just don't think Bressy has enough pace to hold off the charging 27 car, because here he comes. Next week at Homestead is a decidedly different 1.5 mile racetrack. It's just a pure oval, which we don't see a whole lot throughout the season. And, variable banking is another thing we're not really used to seeing, and that could change how things are rolling. I want to take your attention to the right front of the 27 cars. He looks to the inside of Bressi here. Oh, man, that we got close there for a moment. And we're going to take you on board here down into turn 1. The brake rotors on this 27 car glowing pretty severely, so he's definitely wearing out his equipment trying to get by these drivers, Finian, so he could be heating up his tires and wearing out his stuff a lot quicker. He's already a tenth slower than Jeff Ward, let's see here, about 16, 20 laps into this run. So I think DeBarro's got to be careful that he's not wearing out his stuff trying to get back to the 89.
Yeah, and again, I think really once DeBarro gets clear the 24th, I think that's where you're going to see the true picture. But yeah, definitely, if he's wearing out his stuff, and you'd think he would have had to, trying to pass cars, is definitely going to use up his tires a lot more than Ward is using up his. So this race has swung a lot more in Ward's favor in these last few laps.
Yeah, actually, the 27's brakes are even glowing off into turn 3, which really isn't a heavy braking zone at all. So DeBarro's really heated up those brakes to the point where they're glowing with every little bit of heat. And he takes a dive off into turn 1 to the inside of the 24, and the 24 came down to protect it. But Bressi's not going to give this up easy, and they're both losing time to Jeff Ward, who's extended his lead to 2.5 seconds now.
Ooh, DeBarro sends it down deep into the corner, but I think Bressi's going to beat him on the off.
The clock is ticking for the 27 car. Working lap number 92 of 156, or about 27 minutes of this race remaining. Takes another deep dive down into turn 1. Bressi leaves him the room that time, but DeBarro is starting to increase the pressure on this 24. He'll take another dive down to the apron. And Bressi's going to have to try really hard to defend this time because DeBarro's just going to lurch off into 3. There he goes. A deep dive of the brakes up the inside. He's going to clear the 24. He slides up the racetrack. Bressi's going to cross him back over and take that spot back away. But now the 27 has the preferred line.
Yeah, he's going to be the outside though, but he's barely on that outside lane. Bressi's going to try to clear him before.
He hits him.
DeBarro.
Contact to the rear bumper of the 24. Contact again. He hits him twice. And this is the last guy that I would be roughing up here, Finian. I mean, Thomas Bressi has just gotten run over so many times in recent weeks. He's tired of taking it, and he's going to be dishing it back here shortly. I mean, if I'm Anthony DeBarro, the last person I'd be roughing up would be this 24 right now. I'm just saying. Keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, and especially, too, I really don't think you want to be roughing up your championship competitor because he can easily take you out of the fight next week and not feel sorry for it as pretty much payback for the week before. So
Thomas Bressi is just holding a Post-it note in his locker room with check marks of how many times drivers have had a run at him, and he's just added a couple ticks to the 27 list out of turn 4. Still drag racing, losing a ton of time. That's the urgency that DeBarro has, though. He has to force the issue. Here he goes to the inside again. I think he knows that the time is running out to get back to that 89 because now he has to run down a 3.2 second lead, and he's running out of laps to do it. You see him take a big dive in turn 2, and he's going to clear the 24, heading off into 3, and now I think Bressi realizes that's game over now.
Yeah, Bressi tries to gas it up in the corner, but not enough, and DeBarro going to be definitively in second place.
But how much did DeBarro use up doing that?
Yeah, I was going to say also the 24 is still really close to the 27. I was curious if he's going to try to have a bump at him back. But I think Bressi's too far behind for that.
I think Thomas Bressi is just saving that in the payback jar. Some people have piggyback jars, and Bressi has a payback jar, and he's filling it with coins every time he gets run into. And he's going to cash it in next week at Homestead, I think. So, lead has extended now for Jeff Ward to 3.5 seconds. And they're pretty much dead even, the top two, in terms of lap time at the moment. So Ward has really won out on this battle. Closing in on 50 laps to go. And we will have to make one more pit stop. So when do you do that if you're DeBarro now, Finney? An undercut, or are you going to try the overcut again?
Yeah, it's honestly just cut the run in half if you're really planning anything otherwise, and just stick with it there. I really don't think the Wards can't really got to do much. I would just say pit, when he feels like he needs to pit, preferably in the middle of this run, and just race it out to the end there. Just hope for a caution.
Did DeBarro just pound the wall on it too? I think he did. Let's take another look. I think the 27 got the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, pretty big hit there for him too. And he's really desperate to get this win right now, and it's not necessary for him to.
Oh, just hit out of 4.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he tapped it. Not as bad as in 2, but made contact nonetheless.
Oh, he was way offline. Oh, we got it pretty good there, and that was concrete, not safer barrier. So the 27, he's lost more time. He's now 3.7 back from the leader, Jeff Ward, with 56 laps to go. So not the direction the 27 wants to be going. He passed all the cars he needed to, but he's got to keep the fenders on it too.
Yeah, and again, I really think Ward just needs to play it safe right now. Just don't try anything. Just play it to a buck here, because the cards will kind of line up in his favor. He's just got to execute now.
Jeff Ward, the quickest car on the racetrack last time by over a tenth and a half. We see Bressie and Evans, these two, not exactly the friendliest of friends. Through 3 and 4 now, that lap car, Jared Dixon, becoming an obstacle, and Greg Evans takes the opportunity, and woo, Bressie throws a bit of a cheeky block there on the front straight. Oh, was there contact there? Yes, there was significant contact. Evans and the lap car got together down in turn 1. I think Jared Dixon was down on the inside, and ooh, did he slip up the racetrack? That wasn't a great angle. Let's get a better one. What's your opinion on this one, Finian?
I think, for me, I think Evans thought that that Dixon was going to run right on the yellow line. Dixon didn't go as low as he did.
I think Dixon slipped up a little bit too. So
yeah, he did. So
either way, that hurts Greg Evans. That race car, ooh, he's got damage on the left and right fenders from contact with the wall and contact with the 60. So that car seems like it could be hurting. He was 4/10 off the pace last time through. But the lead up front continues to grow. Jeff Ward was not the quickest early in this race, but a well-thought-out strategy has put him in position to win.
I mean, they say you can win or lose the race on pit road, and I think pretty much saw that example right here.
You know, it's just amazing to me that we've come this far, this deep in the season, and the guys that were good at the beginning of the season are the guys that are good at the end of the season. We haven't had a whole lot of comers and goers in terms of the pace category this year. It's really been the 89, the 27, the 24, the 9, and the 70. Of course, Scott Eckrich. Wow, that was a total choke there. Let me try that one again. Scott Eckrich not showing up for this penultimate race and effectively eliminates himself from the championship situation. We don't know why. We don't know how. But he's not going to be competing next week for a championship, and that is really a devastating moment. He won basically half the races this season, and he will not get to do what Greg Evans did last season. Nor will Greg Evans, actually, for that matter.
Yeah, so looking at a new Fuel Cup champion, of course, it's only been 2 seasons, but we're potentially looking at a defending champion, and definitely we're thinking that Eckrich is going to be walking out here with a trophy. But it's going to fall to one of these other 4 drivers on the ticker next week.
And that might have made them more aggressive tonight, Navarro being one of them. I mean, without the 70 in this race, they know they're safe. They can take bigger risks, and why not rough up the 24 to get that spot? Because the worst you're going to do is be 4th walking out of here heading into next week, and everyone gets equalized, so you might as well take your chances now. But the problem is that their memories will last at least that long, probably longer. And you don't want to give them the chance to come back at you. Great battle right now for 7th. Derek Paulsen, Rodden, and Hensley fighting for that P7 spot.
Yeah, those guys are going at it. The leaders are kind of sorted themselves out for now.
John Wilco in the 62 machine has had a decent night. Hasn't had any dramatic moments. Has defenders on the car running inside the top 10 right now. Looks like Greg Evans, that damage on his left side really did hurt that car. He's not really been able to reel Bressie back in. So I'm sure there might be some harsh words between Evans and the 60 of Jared Dixon post-race. Oh, okay, we have an answer for why the 70 Scott Eckrich is not here, Finian. Eckrich broke his foot big time.
Oh.
And that is why he's not here. And that sucks so bad.
Yeah.
That's one of those situations where you almost want to retrofit, your paddles to be your gas and brake, but obviously for Scott,
or whip out a controller.
Yeah, I mean anything, but unfortunately for Scott, Scott, we're so sorry for you, but that's really unfortunate. We hope you have a quick and speedy recovery, as speedy as a recovery as your season was. But unfortunately will not be competing for the championship because of that. DeBarro down to pit lane here, Finian, final stop of the night, and Bressie follows him in.
Yeah, it's pretty much right when these guys should have been coming in. Probably even earlier than that, but yeah, here they come in now, and I'm curious on how long Ward's going to take to respond.
20 minutes left in this race. Running out of time for Jeff Ward. So Jeff Ward leads this race by 6.3 seconds over Greg Evans. Does he have the pace to outrun the 27? And I think the 27 is going to make some big gains here in the pits in terms of the undercut. He's in and out of pit lane. What was his stop of 14.5? It's a pretty good pit stop, Finian. We'll see.
Yeah, and Ward just came in. I was curious. He can't stay out there much longer, so he's going to make his trip down in here, and we'll see what the gap is coming out. I think Ward should be in the lead, but we'll see unless Ward makes a mistake on pit road.
Greg Evans stays out and gets the lead away. Now my question turns to Thomas George, who's been kind of sitting around inside the top 5 all day. Does he throw his hat in the ring somehow? Does anyone try 2 tires, Finian? Is that even worth trying?
No, I don't. I honestly don't think so. I think at this point you need to take the 4 tires for the run.
So where does Ward pop out? Here he comes. Where's DeBarro out of turn 2? And looks like Ward is going to retain the lead, but here comes DeBarro with the head of steam. Did he cut down the lead at all? Yes, he did. He about cut it in half. But now, does DeBarro have the pace to run the 89 down? We're getting down to the final stages of this one, Finian. Who do you think's got it?
I think I definitely gotta probably put my money on Ward, but DeBarro is definitely in and is not said and done. If anyone were to catch Ward, it would be DeBarro. So, gotta have to keep an eye on these 2 cars.
All right, we're going to keep an eye on lap times for you, so watch that gap. They're the 89 and 27 lit up in yellow on the left-hand pylon with just under 50 laps to go, about 40 at this point. Greg Evans continues to lead this race. Last time through, a 24.9 for Jeff Ward, a 25.1 for DeBarro. So Ward has found some pace in the later going here, Finian, but it hasn't been the beginning of the run where Ward struggled. It was later. So we're going to have to wait and see another 20, 30 laps to see where this 89 stands.
Yeah, they got to do a slightly shorter run than they did earlier, but again, not significantly shorter, but if anything, it's slowly falling towards hand as he's working, trying to unlap himself. He's going to get around Thomas George, currently running in second. Now he's going to try to unlap himself in the leader, which is the 46 of Greg Evans at the moment.
We've had 1 caution so far tonight. We've had a total of 5 lead changes, and Ward's going to go around the outside of Greg Evans, who is your leader, and unlap himself officially as DeBarro slips farther and farther in the mirror of the 89. I think really the 46 is just out on a limb again, hoping for a yellow, but with how the field the way it is right now, I just don't see that really happening.
Yeah, I was going to say either waiting for a yellow or trying or thinking about potentially going to the end here on fuel. I think he's short by quite a margin, but I mean at this point I guess might as well throw something at it.
Yeah, I don't think they're just trying a normal overcut strategy. That typically only really works if there's a ton of tire fall off. If we were at a place like Atlanta, that might work, but I just don't see that at a grippy racetrack, that being the case. Here he comes.
Up and here comes Evans. George is going to remain on the track, however, so we'll see how long he continues.
4 Chevys and a Toyota inside the top 5. Of course, that's going to change here once field starts to kind of work their way around and get set back how they were. And Jeff Ward is currently 4th on the racetrack, but will eventually inherit the lead. 36 laps to go.
Yeah, he's been running faster than DeBarro every single lap, so he's been expanding that lead ever since they got out of the pits. And we talked about it being that he falls out towards the later part of the run, but if he expands his lead more and more, it's going to be harder for DeBarro to make up in the later part.
Yeah, I think this... I was worried earlier in the race watching the 89 lap and get slower and slower as the run went on, but he has seemed to find something that has allowed him to keep the tires on it for longer in the run. Or either that or the 27 is beating his stuff up. We already documented the brake temperature that we've seen in this 27. Here he is off into turn 3. Watch inside the wheels here. No color there, but I imagine when we get down to turn 1, we'll see those brake rotors glow again. Let's ride on board the right front suspension, and we'll see if he's still heating up those tires. Not as much, so he has calmed back down. So that just goes to show you how hard he was pushing earlier to get by the 24, that he had those rotors glowing almost white hot, and now not a whole lot of color in him at all. All is quiet in turn 4, and here comes Ward. Bring the roar back to ISM Raceway. Thomas George, the last one left to pit, out in front right now. And he continues to stay on the racetrack. Justin Rodden comes in for his stop. Or nope, that's not correct. My timing and scoring is a little bit behind right now. It shows Rodden doing 46 miles an hour, and clearly that is not the case. And here comes the 9 down to pit road here, Finian.
Yep, that's effectively going to give the lead back to Jeff Ward once he comes out of turn 4.
All right, I think we got to take a quick break just so I can restart my timing and scoring, but we'll take you to the last 30 laps of this one in just 1 minute. Stay right here. We'll be right back. Welcome back live. Thanks for that, just being patient through that quick little delay. We just had to restart the timing software. So Jeff Ward is back in front, Finian, by 3.1 seconds over DeBarro. No surprises here after we saw them come on, launch off pit lane. It seems like the 27 had lost the thunder that he had, especially after hitting that wall out of turn 2. He just lost all the pace he had in that race car, and it just doesn't seem like he's going to have a chance to reel in that 89.
Yeah, I think that caution really was the worst thing that could have happened to the 27 this race. Everything was looking in his favor beforehand. Then that speeding pit, that penalty that put him in the back, and then hitting the wall off turn 4, off turn 2 and 4, as he was saying, that pretty much ruined his night from there on out. He's just been losing time every single lap to the 89 to Jeff Ward.
Only about 12 minutes of racing remaining. The best battle on the racetrack right now between Welker and Hensley. This is for 5th. How about Welker staying in it for a top 5 here? If he can just hang on to this spot, that'd be a great run for the 76. Just popping in here late in the season just for some fun. And that would be a really good run. But he's got to hold off a charging Tyler Hensley, who last time through pretty much matched his lap times. Keep an eye out for that 44. Derek Paulsen, Thomas George. Ooh, Thomas George have a penalty or something, Finian? Or did he just lose a lot of time on the stop sequence?
I'll go and check. I think it might be that he lost a lot of time.
Yeah, he lost way too much time. He's just getting back by Pelletier now. Maybe just trying to use those tires in an overcut situation, but we mentioned that probably wouldn't be the best strategy, but Thomas George tries it.
Yeah, so yeah, it was pretty, no mistakes on pit road, just him staying out there so long he lost that much time, so see how much he can climb back forward.
Closing in on 20 laps to go, then the ticker will tell you there's only 20 laps to go in about 5 laps time, but Jeff Ward continues to lead this race, the gap only expanding. Anthony DeBarro in second place, a 3-time winner this year. He might be just a little bit short of getting his 4th, but next week is all for the big beans next week. Finian, I don't know what to expect heading into Homestead. It's a completely different racetrack than we've been to recently. We've been to a little bit of everything. I'm not sure who I expect to do well there. It's going to be a good one.
I was going to say, also, are we running it at night? I just realized since that was added.
I imagine it's going to be a day to night. That would be my expectation. And that's going to change a lot of things because the grip level is going to go up. And that means that we could see... it seems like Jeff Ward... Jeff Ward seems to do well in these high grip situations, does he not? I think guys like Eckrich lived on the really slippery racetracks, but Ward seems to really do well at night tracks especially.
Yeah, so I think we'll get a kind of a little bit of everything from Homestead going day to night.
So entering tonight, Jeff Ward has 1 win, and DeBarro had 3. Thomas George had 1. Thomas Bressi has 0. Bressi still in 3rd place. This is going to be a good run for him. I think he would have liked a little bit more, but he's just setting himself up for a great week next week. If he just keeps doing what he's doing, he puts himself in position next week, he could be the champion. He's been the most consistent. He's just got to get a checkered flag and to round that out. I think he'd much rather get it next week to make it all that much more sweeter. But he's 4.7 back from DeBarro and 9.2 back from the leader, Ward, right now. Coming up to 20 to go in just 2 laps here.
Ooh, great battle going on for 5th right now between Welker, Hensley, and George.
Welker, again, we mentioned that he is... he's just been kind of there all night, hasn't really been competing too far up the field, but he's just had a solid night, consistent night. But Thomas George is going to drive right back around him on fresh tires. That really has worked out for Thomas George. He does have a pretty big gap to get back to Greg Evans, though, but he's back inside the top 5 with about 21 laps to go.
Yeah, I was checking before the whole pit stop sequence began. He was running in 5th place, so net gain here, and if anything, he's going to track down Greg Evans. So we'll see if he's actually able to do so, because this might work out in his favor.
The only thing that keeps Ward from winning this race is a big mistake by the 89 or a caution, and I don't see really either of those happening right now. He's just dominated the later half of this race. DeBarro was strong early, but just hasn't had the pace in recent laps, partially due to that damage on the right front. And this race has just gone away from him, I think.
Yeah, I think, like you said, it pretty much has is the gap ticks over 5 seconds between them for the first time this run.
Welker and Hensley continue to fight for 6th. It was for 5th, but then Thomas George drove right back around him. And this is the closest battle on the racetrack at the moment. Oh, I correct myself. Here's Norm Pelletier and Justin Rodden fighting for 9th. This is the closest battle on the racetrack.
Yeah, both these guys a lap down, but here comes Justin Rodden, going to fly by the 56.
I made that look easy. And now back to the Welker versus Hensley battle. It's separated just a touch, just 0.6 of a second. And Jeff Ward, he's still running exceptional lap times. Still running quicker than Navarro and still expanding that lead out. And his only other win of the season, I believe, came at Motegi about midway through the season. And since then, he's just turned up the wick. Once he figured out how to win a race, Finian, he just was up front each and every week. Had a shot to win at Charlotte a few weeks ago. Didn't quite work out there, but he's going to put himself back in victory lane if he can just hang on for 16 more laps. All right, Finney, we've seen a whole other night of racing here. We've kind of seen the strategies and the long green flag runs play out. There's 4 guys going for it. And I'm taking a look at Jeff Ward. And you said earlier that he's your pick for next week. Is there any reason that you would want to change that at this point?
Honestly, not really. I mean, again, ever since that move at Motegi, he's kind of been almost a different driver. He really started to perform a lot better than he had in the past. And pretty much, if anything, like he had been last season, and has not really backed down. If anything, he's been running more aggressive, more toward the front. So I think he's definitely going to remain my pick going into next week.
One final race to end the second Fuel Cup Series season. That will be next week, next Tuesday at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be the last Tuesday night race on SimTV for quite a while. And we're kind of entering an interesting part of the year, Finney, and every summer, all the leagues kind of finish up and they kind of go on their separate ways. The only league that will be consistently doing throughout the summer is the 3-wide Truck and 3-wide Cup Series leagues on Sunday night and Monday night. And for most of the summer, it looks like we kind of have a pretty light schedule, which we said earlier this season that we're pretty pretty booked up, and that is still true. And we are still really signed on for these groups for the rest of the year, for the rest of 2019. The schedule picks back up again in the fall. But I think we both needed a little bit of a break here to kind of clear our heads, update the graphics package, and just do a couple tweaks here and there, change the thumbnails around. So it's been a long time since we've been able to make some significant upgrades to SimTV, and it's just because we've done such a high volume of broadcast the last couple months, and we didn't want to constantly be changing things, so we said, all right, this is what our look is going to be like for the next couple months. We're going to keep it here, but now that we've gotten to the end of yet another great season of racing, I think it's about time that we change some things up. Again, the ticker might change around a little bit. We're really happy with how most things look, but again, you'll see some minor changes come to the ticker, and more major changes coming in the form of replay screens, thumbnails, that sort of thing. Just changing up the look yet again to make a more consistent approach across the whole website. But Finian, it's been quite an adventure the first year and a half or so of SimTV broadcasting, and it's been a hell of a ride. We've been with a lot of these groups for over 12 to 15 months now, and good racing all the way, stock cars to sports cars to open wheel and all around.
The only thing I could think when you're saying that was, holy crap, we've been doing this for a year and a half. Time's kind of really flown by, so it hasn't really felt like that.
And we probably should talk about this, not during a race, but how we started this was Jonathan DeCousier over from the Scars side of things was talking on Reddit about getting a broadcaster for the Scars Ferrari Challenge, and they said they'd be willing to take on somebody new that didn't have any experience. And Finian goes, "Oh, we should do that. We should do it." And I was like, nah, that's dumb. We shouldn't do that. And Finian is a tenacious little man, and we ended up doing it. And we thought we'd do it for a couple months and make some money and go away, and that just didn't happen. And here we are, about 18 months later, and I would call what we've done successful, and I am excited to continue it for the future.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I first moved, I saw Hensley made a really interesting pass over Jared Dixon. But when I initially thought we'd do it, because I've watched broadcasts before, because I used to be in a league that was broadcasted, and that's pretty much all I really knew much about broadcasting. And I thought, that'd be kind of cool to actually do that. Never thought I would be still doing it a year and a half later.
Well, we've worked with some incredible groups and had some really good racing, and I think that what's really cool about it is, when people come to ask us about, broadcasting, they say they love our broadcasts and everything. That's great, but if the races weren't entertaining, then we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't want to do this, but we do want to do this, and the reason why we put so much effort into it is because it's worth it, and it's turned out to be a great venture. And with 5 laps to go now for leader Jeff Ward, I'm sure he's going to be looking back on this season as successful as well. So 5 to go here at Phoenix. 5 miles left in the penultimate race of the season. Jeff Ward has absolutely dominated the last half of this race after DeBarro led the majority of the first half from lap 7 to lap 75, roughly. And Ward has extended that lead up to 6.5 seconds. Battle for third heating up here, though, Finian. Bressie and Evans, where have we seen this fight before?
Yeah, I've definitely seen it quite a few times beforehand. I believe Greg Evans here is the challenger.
That is correct. You see Pelletier scrape off the wall in turn 3. No harm, no foul. Will continue. 4 to go now. And Evans has caught Bressie, and it's not an insignificant pace that he's catching him by, about 2 to 3 tenths a lap. He's going to get this spot if Bressie can't figure out how to defend. There's a guy smoking on pit lane. I'm not sure. I think it's Jared Dixon in the 60. But Bressie trying to hang on to this spot with Greg Evans charging hard from 4th.
Yeah, Evans is really charging hard, and I imagine the Brett's going to try to defend as much as possible. He's only got a few more laps to do so. And I imagine he doesn't want to fall out of the top 3.
3 laps to go, and Evans has a run. He's going to take it down to the inside. Nope, he's going to stay in line now, maybe waiting for his turn. Getting to the quarter panel. Don't lean on him. I'm telling you, if that 46 leads at a bumper on the 24, he's going to end up in the concrete after what we saw last week. But Bressie goes defensive. Jeff Ward is going to collect the 2 to go sign from the flag stand. And I think Bressie would rather see the white right now. He's working hard inside that race car.
Yeah, looks like Greg Evans is kind of backed off now. I think he's ready for lining up for one more charge on the last lap.
He's going to have one more opportunity. Bressie goes defensive again on the back straightaway, trying to make the shortest distance the quickest one as well. But Jeff Ford all out front. He's been the dominant car in the latter half of this race. He's been really, really good in recent weeks. He has one win on the season back at Motegi a few weeks ago. Hasn't gotten back to victory lane until tonight. Driving the 89 Chevrolet Camaro comes out of turn 4. It's going to be his second victory and carrying that wave of momentum into Homestead next week. Going for the championship, Jeff Ford wins at Phoenix. Behind them, battle for third. Evans to the inside. He's going to take the spot away. Bressi cuts back to the inside out of turn 4. I don't think it's going to be enough. DeBarro finishes second. Bressi going to get fourth after Greg Evans finishes third just up the road by 79 thousandths of a second. Thomas George comes home in 5th. Welker 6th. Hensley 7th. Rodden 8th. Paulsen 9th and Pelletier 10th. What a finish between those two.
Yeah, it was a fantastic fight there at the end. Between them, I almost thought Bressi was going to try to take him out at the line.
Looked like he went for it. Here's a quick look at the crossover that Bressi tried to pull, and I think he went for the gullet there. He tried to get him, but he couldn't quite get there at the line. But for Jeff Ward, for the second time this season, he's going to get to celebrate in victory lane. Here's your unofficial results on the left-hand side of the screen for now, and there is the drift down in turn number 1, and he's going to slide back up the racetrack. Oh, there goes the passing inspection part. He bounces off the safer barrier in turn 2. I think he's pretty excited, Finian.
Oh, I definitely think it has. It's been a fantastic second half to the season for him. Since the second half started, he has not finished outside of the top 6, except for 2 occasions, the Roval and Talladega. Both of the tracks I think you can kind of put an asterisk next to, so he's just been on a roll as of late, and I think this is definitely going to help him into next week.
And a solid drift through turns 3 and 4 there, and celebration not quite done yet, I don't think. There goes Hensley. Whoops, scraping on by to the inside. And here's a look at your race results. Ward, DeBarro, Evans, Bressi, your top 4. Then George rounds out your top 5. Mitch Welker with a 6th place after jumping in just for fun tonight. A top 10 run for the 76. Hensley in 7th, as we mentioned. Poor nights for Runkle, Greene, Dulger, Johnson, Rodden, and Dixon. They all DNF'd, but Wilco and Pelletier are getting top 11s. Pelletier stealing a top 10 at number 56 Toyota. And that is going to do it for the results portion of this race. The lights have come out. We're going to meet Jeff Ward in victory lane in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with your winner and a couple others. Stay with us. Welcome back live to Sim TV here at ISM Raceway. The penultimate race of the season has just come to a close after 156 laps of green flag racing with 1 caution on the night. Thomas Bressi comes home 4th place after starting 6th. Thomas, a hard-fought night, some bumping and banging with the 27. An exciting finish between you and Greg Evans, but Evans just eked you out for 3rd place. Talk to us about the race and that battle on the last lap.
Yeah, it was a pretty good race, actually. I was having a lot of fun. I was a little slow in practice. I literally had to get up to speed because I had to recalibrate myself to run in the Cup car at ISM because I'm not used to them being this fast. So that took a little bit, but I was having a blast. The front tires kind of went away after maybe 15, 20 laps. I don't know if that was just me. I know my teammate was talking about it, but so either way. But I had a blast. That was a lot of fun. The powers that be in NASCAR should pay attention. When you have horsepower, you can do things with the car, and it makes good racing. So leave that, I guess, where it lies. But yeah, I had a really good battle with the 27. I told him in the middle of the race, I was like, I'm sorry I'm holding you up, but he and the 89 were so quick. I told him if he got by me, I probably wasn't getting the spot back. And he was like, no, that's good. So glad we had a good battle, which, so I held on to it as long as I could. And then when I felt like he pretty much had it, I was like, just take it. And then the last lap, I probably would have been able to hold third. I caught the apron in turn 1 with like 6 or 7 to go and lost like almost half a second. So that didn't help. And then I went off into 3 on the last lap and the front tires just didn't hook up and I just blew the corner. So tried to get back under, but just couldn't get there. But had a blast. Finished it probably about where I should have. So can't be disappointed about that. And hey, made the finals. So got that to look forward to next week.
Yes.
No win, but I'm okay with at least having a shot. That's all I really want.
Yeah, speaking of next week, we head into the Fuel Finals finale at Homestead Miami Speedway. A pretty different track than we've been to lately. Expectations for next week? Is there any bad blood between you and any other drivers going in there? How are you going to race them? What's the plan?
I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I guess somebody else will tell you if they got a problem with me, I'm sure. But I'm square with everybody. I mean, I had a clean battle with Greg tonight a couple times, so I think that we're kind of moved on from that. I think that was just short track racing last week, but expectations, I guess, try and win. It'd be nice. It'd be kind of awkward, I guess, if I won the championship and didn't have a win. So, I mean, the small trophies are nice, but the big one's the ultimate goal. So, I mean, I'm in the Final Four, so I expect to win, but we'll see. That I'm going up some pretty good competition, so we'll find out.
We'll find out for sure. Thomas Bresci, 4th place tonight. Thanks for chatting with us, and we'll see you next week.
All right, see you guys.
Next, we're going to talk to 3rd place Greg Evans, who was victorious last week, picked up his first checkered flag of the season. Too late, though, to make the Fuel Finals for the last 2 races of the season. Greg, you turned up the wick in recent weeks, a top 3 tonight. Are you disappointed that you're running this great late in the season and are not a part of it anymore, or are you just happy to be back inside the top 5?
Yeah, just kind of happy back inside the top 5. I know it's where we probably belonged all year, but just like I said, I had bad luck all year long. But it just, hate to see the league kind of having some lower car counts, but kind of gives you a chance to kind of figure some things out and test a little bit and, just work on things. But, hopefully we can keep this going until next week as well.
And speaking of next week, I know we got the championship finale going on, but for you, there's only really one objective left. That's to get yourself another checker flag. Are you worried about being involved in anything next week in terms of the championship contenders, or you just want to go out there and you're just worrying about yourself?
Nah, I ain't worried about none of those guys. And I'm not going to try to, get in their way because I wouldn't want nobody getting my way, but I'm also going to, run my race and, we'll try to win the race, but if it comes down to it and I'm going to be in the way of 2 championship guys or something like that, or, cause an issue, it's, there's no point in causing an issue at this point.
Greg Evans, 3rd place tonight, a 1st and a 3rd last 2 weeks. The 46 running strong. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, guys.
Anthony DeBarro finished 2nd place tonight in the number 27 after dominating the first half of the race, but the second half lost some pace. Jeff Ward found something and drove away. Anthony, just walk us through tonight's race. I know you dominated the early parts of the race, and then that pit stop sequence, the 89 got back up in front, and you bounced off the wall, and what happened from there?
Yeah, well, ultimately I sped on the pit road there under that caution. I was pretty well set up before that yellow came out. I thought we were going to have easy win there, but stuff happens, the cautions come out. But other than that, we used our stuff up coming to the field there, and then I got the wall a little, and I had a short pick because I was losing so much time because I just burned the tires up trying to get back to the field, and I came off the road and I was right behind him, and then he just had 2-3 laps fresh tires, and it was over from there.
We head into next week. There's one objective, and that's to get that championship trophy. I mean, what's the strategy for next week? Are you going to treat it any different than you've been doing? Because you almost got yourself a 4th victory of the season tonight. How are you going to get yourself that 4th victory and a championship next week?
Well, you said it. Just go win the race, and everything will take care of itself. I mean, I think if you get caught up in racing the guys that you're racing until the end, you just got to take care of what you can control and just run every lap like a qualifying lap and go win the race.
All right, well, Anthony DeBarro going for a championship next week after a successful season. Anthony, thanks for talking to us, and we'll see you at Homestead.
Yep, talk to you next week.
And last but certainly not least, it's going to be the winner of the night for the second time this season. It's Jeff Ward in Victory Lane. Jeff, this has got to feel fantastic. You have so much momentum being carried off into the final race of the season. A win tonight, the championship next week?
I don't know, man. That's going to be tough. Yeah, this feels good. This will definitely give us some momentum going into Homestead there, which is historically not one of my best tracks. I've been in the Final Four several times and watched it go into somebody else's hands just because I don't always run real well there. But what a night, man. This thing, once the sun went down there, it really hooked up, and I was able to dial some rear brake in it and find some things that was helping me save tires there. And that was fun battling with DeBarro there early in the race. This is one of those tracks where the package feels pretty good, where you can actually race each other. So it was a lot of fun. And like I said, it's just a big momentum builder here.
As we head into next week, we head to Homestead, and presuming that next week is a day-to-night race, we saw you pick up a lot of pace as the track gripped up and cooled down. Do you feel like the track's being cold and grippy is an advantage to you versus something that's hot and slick?
It definitely felt different to me once the sun went down. There in 3 and 4, I was able to get up in that high lane, and it's almost like I could set that rear end and get a good run out of there. When the sun was up, it was a little tighter on exit. So it felt different to me. Hopefully Homestead has that same effect. I haven't even raced this car at Homestead with this package. So hopefully we get out there and have the same kind of speed. And there's some tough guys in this 4 here that we'll be racing against. So just look to start up front, stay clean, and hopefully we'll have some good racing, and the best man will win.
Second win of the season, going for his first championship with Fuel next week. Jeff, thanks for talking to us. We'll see you later. Good luck next week.
All right, guys. Thanks.
All right, Finian, well, points have been reset, and your final 4 for next week is Thomas Bressi, Anthony DeBarro, Thomas George, and Jeff Ward. And it's going to be interesting because they're all dead even with a total of 3,000 points heading into the final race of the season. Honestly, you could pretty much throw any of those on the racetrack and expect them to win. I think the only one I don't see being an easy victory next week is Thomas George. I think the other 3, it's a pretty even chance between those guys.
Yeah, George has kind of fallen a bit off the pace in recent weeks. Not significantly, but I think out of the 3, I think he's definitely been running behind them the most. So we'll see if he can definitely come out of a little bit of a rut and emerge as the underdog next week.
So Jeff Ward goes for his second victory of the season. Unfortunately, Scott Eckrich with a broken foot will not be able to participate in these last couple races of the season. He is eliminated from the Fuel Finals. Halfway points don't matter next week. Bonus points don't matter. Straight up highest finisher next week goes for the title. And, of course, the Edmonds are making the point that it's going to be a good, clean title fight. May the best man win next week in Homestead. So we're going to head from Avondale, Arizona to Homestead, Miami, Florida next week, Tuesday, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's going to be it for us for the next couple days. We'll see you Friday night for the Virtual Racing League from the Roval. That's going to be at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then Saturday, Roval action for Outsider Racing League. And then Sunday, we return. Actually, do we even have Sunday next week with trucks? We don't. So we're off Sunday, but we'll be back Monday with Motegi for the Race Kings Cup Series for 3 Wide on Monday. So that's going to do it for us tonight. We'll see you next week at Homestead for the Fuel Finals. Have a good night.